welcome Cora.
Yes, Cora! Our next cat really knows her way around the kitchen. I'm a big fan.
Cora, the only female Iron Chef.
Cooking in the kitchen. And Cora, the executive chef of Bon Appetit magazine, is here.
Who wants pancakes?
Who wants pancakes with raspberries?
I do. Cora.
We know Cora can slice and dice with the best of them on Iron Chef, but at home, she's got her hands full.
The winner of Bonnie's Iron Chef America Challenge, Chef Morgan.
Next, we stopped in at the home of Iron Chef Cora for her global twist on Southern barbecue.
Iron Chef Cora moved in with Robin and her family for 2 days.
The 2008 HRC Humanitarian Hero Award to Catherine Cora.
I'm Cora, and I'll see you next time on Disney's What's Cooking with Cora.
Trained in the do-or-die world of French cuisine, but now her creations have a unique global flair.
The dishes that she makes are just so playful. She draws upon her Greek roots, her Southern roots, but she's also been experimenting.
You're always working on your skills, getting better at working with different ingredients, and you know, it always keeps you fresh, especially for Iron Chef and doing things like that.
Cora is a Southern girl who rose to the top by being gutsy and fearless.
I'm gonna prove to them that I can do this and that I belong in this kitchen.
Iron chefs don't get tired. Oh, my feet. Ah.
She was trained in elite 3-star kitchens in France. But her cooking philosophy is simple and user-friendly. Her best-selling cookbooks are more down-home than haute cuisine.
I love the timeless dishes of classics. I love rustic foods. I love peasant foods. But if it's out there, I want to know about it. I want to try it out. It keeps you alive. It keeps you in the mix of things. If I don't have 10 balls in the air, I'm not happy.
But Kat has taken on yet another challenge, and this time it required an iron will.
She dropped everything. 48 hours later, she was feeding 3,000 to 5,000 people a day.
After the tsunami disaster in 2004, Kat felt she had to do something.
I'm a big believer in helping people have a quality of life around food, the way chefs do every single day of their lives.
So her charity, Chefs for Humanity, was born in 2005, answering calls for food in times of crisis. Now, more than 30 chefs have joined, including Rick Bayless, Bobby Flay, and Marcus Samuelson.
Don't crown me now. I got you. Cooking is not a punishment. It's not something that you should have to feel like this is work. It should be something that is a time, you know, to spend quality time with your family. It's a time to nurture. I think it's important to help viewers or home chefs or whoever you may be around food and cooking to find that sweet spot, that joy. And once you find that sweet spot in that fun place, then, you know, cooking, there's nothing like it. I'm cooking as fast as I can. That's gonna be my autobiography, literally. Trying to shove it all into one life, you know. Hi, everybody. Welcome. How's everybody doing today? Let's lighten it up a little bit. How about that? Let's have some fun. You know, I'm just honored to be here. All of these esteemed speakers around me, all of you here. Greg Pappas. I'm with Jim. You know, he's going to call you until you say yes, but it was an easy sell because I really wanted to be here to say hello to everybody and to really talk about what I'm doing with Chefs for Humanity and giving back.
you know, it's really for me, I think my career started 20 years ago, and I really started cooking many, many years ago with my mom, my mother, who is not Greek. My father is actually Greek, but you know, she's more Greek. I say she's more Greek now than my dad is, because you know, she's the one that got baptized into the Greek church. She's the one that you know, started cooking with the Greek ladies 45, 50 years ago, and really learned, really embraced the Greek soul and spirit of cooking, the Greek Orthodox Church, all that we did and all that we lived around in the Greek culture. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, so I grew up Greek American in Jackson, Mississippi. I know that's a little disturbing, but true. Until you've had feta with grits, I mean, just, you know, hey. But I really started cooking, and you know, went to Greek Orthodox Church all my life, and I really think being Greek American and being around amazing cooks, around amazing people, full of spirit, full of life. I mean, the Greeks enjoy life, I think, more than anybody in the world. I mean, I think we'll all agree with that. You know, that really brought me into a whole world of cooking and enjoying and loving food and loving gathering with my family, and really, I think, set a foundation for me to become a great chef out there and to work to become better and better every day. My grandfather and my godfather both had restaurants. They were Greek. And a matter of fact, in Mississippi, most of the white tablecloth restaurants started with Greeks. You know, if you look at the history of eating in the South, the first white tablecloth, the first fine dining restaurants, along with the diners as well, and some of the continental restaurants, were all started by Greeks and some Italian immigrants as well. So there's a really, really rich history between the food of the South and the food of Greece, and it worked really well. You know, a lot of people think, wow, there's such a disconnect there, but actually it worked really well for me to start building my career as a chef and my love of food and my passion for food and wine. And, you know, it was all those days and those holidays and those mornings and nights rolling grape leaves and making curumbiadas and, you know, kourakia and paxmadia, and all that time that I spent with my mom in the kitchen, and my dad when he'd make a shrimp pilaf, or, you know, he'd make stuffed peppers, you know, things like that. All those times and all those moments working with my family in the kitchen and spending time, people ask me, who's your mentor? They were my mentors. You know, my godfather, who taught me how to, you know, cook, you know, really, really good, classic, gave me the foundation of cooking great classic cuisine, and partnered with also my dad, who was, you know, we call him the grill meister in the house, because he's the one who smoked the meats and taught me how to marinate meat and grill meat beautifully and cook beautiful leg of lamb. My mom, who taught me about, again, making Greek cookies and pastries and spanakopita and, you know, all of the foods, the traditional foods of Greece. And so, you know, my love of food started at a very, very young age. I mean, we were rolling grape leaves. I'd stand on a countertop to roll, you know, grape leaves with my mom and really enjoy and become passionate about food. In the meantime, going to my godfather's restaurant, he had a continental restaurant that, you know, in continental restaurants, you know, with the big red booths and the wood, lots of wood, and the lounge behind the closed doors where, you know, when you're a kid, you're always peeking every time the door opens to see what's going on in there. But, you know, really taught me a lot about wanting, you know, people say, what made you, you know, feel like you wanted to go into this industry? And it was all those feelings, all those emotions that family and the Greek American family bring to life, I think, for all of us. You know, all those memories, all those smells, the energy of that, you know, those restaurants and being around family and friends and being around the Greek Orthodox. You know, obviously our Greek weddings and our Greek baptisms and every other party that we like to have. So all of that really led me into the restaurant industry. I got my real start when Julia Child, who I can actually call someone who mentored me, Julia Child came to Mississippi, which is big. It's big news, obviously, because Julia Child doesn't come to Mississippi very often, or people like her. And I said to my mom, I said, we've got to go. You know, I was really at that time looking to open a restaurant, to really, you know, learn the craft a little bit more, become a little more fluent, and really dive into this whole industry called the food industry and the culinary industry. And so we went, and I actually had her book, and I stood at the back of the line. I waited to the very end. You know, Julia was, you know, there was a ton of people there. I waited to the very end, very patient, because I wanted to be the last person, because I knew that if I was the last person, not the first person, that, because you're going to get pushed along, But if I was the last person, I knew that I had a chance to stand and talk to her for a little bit longer and that I wouldn't get pushed along to the next person. So I went up to her and I, greeted her, told her that, I'm an aspiring chef. I love food. I really want to go into the culinary industry. And literally, against all of her handlers' wishes, obviously, because she was on a tight schedule, she said, well, come sit down right next to me. Let me talk to you about this, And she took 45 minutes with me just talking to me about, what it took to become a chef, where to go to culinary school, all these things. The whole time, all of her assistants and everybody are sweating because they know they've got to get, she's off schedule now. But she didn't care, She didn't care because she knew that she had a young, passionate person in front of her that she needed to pay it forward to. And she did. Big time, because she told me, you need to go to the Culinary Institute of America, which is the Harvard of culinary schools. And I did. I applied the next day. When Julia tells you to do something, you do it, right? Well, fast forward 2.5 years later, when I was graduating, it was about a few weeks before I was graduating culinary school, and I was going to go to France. I had sent out, I really wanted to go to France and study and do a couple of apprenticeships, and so I had sent out 10 letters. I said, if I'm going to go to France, because you got to realize when you do apprenticeships in France, especially this was 15 years late, past, you do it for free. You don't get paid to go. You sometimes even have to pay them. Well, I was a student, so I didn't have to pay them, but I didn't get paid to go. I worked for free, and I went for 6 months. And but I sent out. I said, if I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go to France, and I'm going to pay my own way, and I'm going to work for free, then I'm going to go to this is, this is the way that I think. This is my thinking, right? It always gets me in trouble, but it usually pays off in the end. But I said, I'm going to go to the only 3-star Michelin restaurants. I'm going to go to the top chefs in France. So I sent out 10 letters to all the top, Bocuse, everybody, I got 8 rejection letters in a row back. Okay, this was 15 years ago. Women were not in French kitchens. And then I got my last 2 letters, and they were acceptance letters from Roger Verger, who has a restaurant in Cannes. You guys may have known about it. It's a 3-star Michelin restaurant. And Georges Blanc, who's in Venice. And I couldn't decide, so, crazy me, I took both of them. How do you decide between those 2 famous, legendary chefs? One does haute cuisine, one does nouvelle, French cuisine, one does old classic traditional. It was an amazing experience. But, I said to her, I said, I was able to go back, I was able to be invited to her home when she lived in Cambridge, when Julia still lived in Cambridge, to watch a Master Chef series and just spend the whole day with her. And I jumped on it, obviously. And when I spoke to her, obviously, 2.5 years later, she'd met 1 million people in between those years. But she was so gracious, because that's how Julia was. She was so gracious. And I said, you just have to understand is that I've just come full circle. You told me 2.5 years ago to go to the Culinary Institute of America. I listened. I graduated with honors. I'm now going to France to do 2 apprenticeships with 2 of the top chefs in the world. And it's because of you. And so it came full circle, and that just motivated me. That catapulted me into, the world that I'm in now, which has been truly a blessing. It's been a lot of hard work, but I also say it's also been a true blessing. I feel blessed every single day of what I've been able to accomplish. A little Mississippi girl, with a 5'2", with a funny accent in a man's world, and what I've been able to accomplish now in Iron Chef, and, the things that I've been able to do in becoming the CEO of my company. And a lot of it was just belief, but a lot of it was, too, is the inspiration of people I met along the way, like Julia. And I now believe in, and I've always believed in giving back is a big part of success. I feel like as a successful person, I have an obligation to give back, not only to pay it forward to young, aspiring chefs or young people in general, but to give back to the world, to give back to the U.S., to give back globally. And so what I did was, I understand that call, that pull. Not only do I have 4 children, 4 boys, by the way, but, I have a family. I have a very, very busy career that's got 10, 15 projects going at once. But I felt that pull, that calling that I couldn't explain, a higher power, that pulling to say, you have to go out and create this organization that's going to do good, for the world. I can't explain it. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason what that pull is. It's just there. And anybody who's a philanthropist knows that against all odds, you have to go out, you're pulled to go out and to create something good, to give back. And so I created Chefs for Humanity, which basically is a coalition of chefs, restaurateurs, foodies, anybody who wants to get involved. We go out, we work not only domestically, but globally. We're a threefold organization. I set it up initially when the tsunami hit Asia. We all remember that. The tsunami hit Asia. It was devastating. I think we were all in shock here. I was completely in shock. I felt helpless. And at the time, I was doing work with UNICEF, and I said, you know, what can I do to get the word out, you know, about what you're doing? And so I sent out, they said, just contact everybody, let them know what we're doing, and, you know, just get the word out, what we're doing, and that they can donate. And so I did, and I got an enormous response back from the culinary industry. Enormous. I mean, just overwhelming response of like, yeah, we'll write a check, but we also want to roll our sleeves up. Can we go? Can we go to Asia? Can we go here? And can we do this? And I thought, wow, there is no organization like a Doctors Without Borders or Oxfam or any of those organizations for culinary professionals. You know, we're all lost. We were all lost because we wanted to be able to hook on to something good and be able to generate good. And so I set up immediately, went to work. Not that I had any extra time at all, but again, it's that pull, it's that thing, that higher calling. And I went to work setting up Chefs for Humanity. So we weren't even a year old when Katrina hit. We all know about Katrina. When Katrina hit New Orleans and the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, we weren't quite a year old. And my whole reasoning at the time for setting up Chefs for Humanity was to become an emergency feeding relief organization, meaning that when a crisis happens, we mobilize chefs, we mobilize the culinary industry, we mobilize food companies, everybody to come together and help in that crisis, help feed people in that crisis. So we weren't even a year old. Katrina hit. We got a call from many, many organizations, the American Red Cross, so many organizations saying, look, we're in New Orleans. We don't have anybody on the Gulf Coast. That's my home state, or was my home state. My parents still live there. But can you go there? Can you take Chefs for Humanity there? We had already kind of become known in the industry because we were a very small industry, and there weren't a lot of organizations doing that. And we immediately mobilized to Katrina. And I'll show you, I think we've got some of that. We've got immediately mobilized and working with some of our partners. You know, at the time was UNICEF, Red Cross. We definitely, with Share Our Strength and some other organizations, to get there and feeding, we were feeding 5,000 people a day. 5,000 people a day for a brand new organization of chefs that we came together and just did it. We were cooking in elementary schools. We were cooking from, 5 in the morning until, 3 at night, and a couple hours of sleep and getting right back up and doing it. That was my first entree into the nonprofit crisis emergency feeding world. And the thing about what we learned from that was that chefs need to be in crisis. Chefs and culinary professionals need to be in crisis situations. Reasoning is because when we came upon this group, we were working with the law enforcement in Gulfport, Mississippi. When we came along with this group, they had tractor trailers full of food, because the casinos and the restaurants and every, food organization got completely wiped out. Where was the food going to go? They stored it all in tractor trailers. So you had volunteers, these poor dispatchers who are used to feeding 2, 3 people in their family, handling a few ingredients and groceries a day, now having to look at tons of food in the tractor trailer truck. So when we came, we were able to get in there, inventory the food, prep the food, rotate the food, handle it safely, and feed thousands of people. And it was a true blessing to be able to do that for them and for us, because we really, again, we were kind of thrown into this situation that we were able to make successful and to feed a lot of people. We are also, I'm showing you a couple of partners, Table for Two that we work with, UNICEF, United Nations World Food Program, Share Our Strength. Bono has called on us on his one.org organization to work with them as well. And this was us at Chefs for Humanity at Hurricane Katrina in 2005 working. And I mean, to see, and another thing, bringing in celebrity chefs is important because the morale that it boosted when we came for the people who had nothing but a brick and a shelter. And I mean, grown men, police officers crying because their favorite chef, Ming Tsai or Tyler Florence or whoever was there. And we dropped everything and came in to feed us? Really? You dropped everything you're doing to come feed us? That's important. That goes a long way to helping people regain their spirit, regain their hope that it's going to be okay, that everything's going to be okay because we're here helping you. Very, very important. A lot of the kids that were in shelters, here I am just autographing a paper plate because whatever, I mean, you know, whatever we had. This was in Nicaragua and Honduras and some of our work we were doing with the World Food Program there, where we were going around to some of their distribution tents and some of the villages and just trying to see, again, understanding their organization, how it works. This is, to me, one of the best feeding organizations in the world. They feed, you know, so many people, millions and millions and millions of people every year, and they're doing it right. So going in there and finding out, you know, their distribution and how they're doing it and how their organization works. Their protein powders that they're making to feed, you know, just tons, you know, so many people in some of these villages that have nothing and very, very little food. This is when we were in Nicaragua visiting some of the families there that were literally in mud houses made out of mud that they had put together and literally had 2 rooms. One was a kitchen room and one was a bedroom. And some of these homes, there are 5, 6, 7 people in it. Kids, parents, whoever. Some more families here. And this is really, for us, this is really important work that we do. Now we were just in Haiti last month. I was there with our organization with Share Our Strength, Senator Bob Kerrey. We went, had a small delegation go to see what we can do to assess the situation there. And I'll tell you, it was shocking, literally, to see what's going on in Haiti right now. I mean, to see, you know, there's still 20,000, 50,000 people in tent camps, 2 different tent camps, 20,000 each, with no running water, no plumbing, no proper bathrooms, nothing. One of the most shocking things I think I saw there was a lady selling mud cakes. It wasn't pottery. It wasn't, you know, it was mud cakes. And those mud cakes are what people eat when they have no food. Okay, it's water and mud mixed together, dried in the sun, and they eat it to fill their stomachs to feel full. That was probably one of the most shocking things that I saw there. The great news is that Share Our Strength and Chefs for Humanity alone, we're not a fundraising organization. We're a human resources organization. We gather chefs, we gather people, we gather, you know, resources. We're a voice to get the word out. I did a lot of corresponding with CNN while I was over there, taking minute-to-minute pictures and sending them over. That's what we do. That's what we're good at. But we were able to manage to raise $100,000 in 1 month for Haiti, which we're now sending to the World Food Program and Partners in Health, along with a grant from Share Our Strength, a matching grant from Share Our Strength. So we should be able to feed thousands of people. And one program we're going to do that I think is really important for the future, this is just something I think that can help end hunger, is to start sustainability programs. Sustainable agriculture is something we're really interested in. And that means going into these villages and setting up 1-acre plots of micro farms where the people, the Haitians, work the farms, they grow their own food, they harvest their food to eat, but they also harvest food to sell. And you see this big circular motion of money going back into the economy and rebuilding. It's the whole adage of don't just give a man a fish, teach him how to fish. And that's what we're really focused on, is sustainability projects in and around the world. This is one of the tent camps. This is Champ Mas, right across from the presidential palace, where there's about 20,000, 30,000 people. This is this is just literally last month. Some of the tent camps you see here where people are just basically stringing together, you know, whatever they can find to cover themselves, cover their tents, sheets, bedding. This is Senator Bob Kerrey with the Ministries of Health in Haiti, where we had big conferences not only on feeding, emergency feeding relief, sustainability, sustainable agriculture, but also, you know, Bob Kerrey is an amputee from the war, and so he was very involved in what's going on with the amputee and Partners in Health and some of the health issues that are going on with that. And there you have it. So, you know, what's really important for us is at Chefs for Humanity, and for me personally, is that, again, it's all about giving back. You know, I think it's really important. There's so many successful, all of you in here are so successful. And it's really, and so many of you are already doing philanthropy work. I mean, I've seen it, I've read about many of the speakers here today. One thing that we're doing as well, I said I've covered emergency feeding relief. I covered anti-hunger, which we're doing as well around the world. And the third thing is nutritional education, which I think is really important for all of us who are parents or looking at the next generation or grandparents. It's really important that we support nutritional programs in the schools, especially the public schools. I was just at the White House last week with Michelle Obama. I got called upon by her to come and be a part of her Move On program that she's launched nationally. And it's really about, you know, bringing more nutrition into the schools through the cafeteria workers. And it's important that we go in as chefs when we do these programs, is that we start a movement. We were talking about that. Greg started that whole, you know, the whole conversation about starting a movement. It's really important that we start this movement within the schools and that we start thinking about nutritional education and working in collaboration, not dictating to the cafeteria workers, because these are people that are underpaid and under-budgeted. You know, they're just trying to go in and do a job every day. But going in and collaborating, that was a big word that the First Lady used, collaboration. Going in and collaborating with these cafeteria workers and these school systems to get better nutrition in the cafeterias, to start cooking classes, to start edible gardens in the schools. So it's really important that, you know, I work on that, that any of you that want to get involved work on that as well. And it's also important for this bill that we're trying to get passed through Congress to give more money, allocate more funds to nutritional programs in the school system, the public school system. Really, really important. So those are the three things that I work on top of my career. And anybody who's in philanthropy knows it's a whole career. It's a career. It's a lifestyle. It's a movement. And that's so important to what we do every day. And I think that we're all doing that in our own way. And it's just fantastic that we're all here, this collaboration, if you will, of people in this room right now, of Greek Americans. And I'm so proud to be a part of that, because I think, you know, we have so much that we can offer to Greece, to America, and to the Greek American community. We talked about, you know, Bill started it off, I think, about talking about what can we do for the economy. And two words that stood out in my mind, and in general for the Greek American community, two words that stood out in my mind was listen and optimism. Anybody ever been into a Philoptikos meeting? Anybody sat in a church board meeting before? Listening. That's the one place that we should definitely work on, and optimism. You know, I mean, I'll talk to my nuno about something and give him some, you know, young version, young idea, some kind of innovative comment. Oh, it can't be done. It can't be done. I already tried it. Oh, it can't be done. Optimism. So we all laugh because we can all relate to that, right? You know, we're Greeks. We're very passionate about what we do. We're very passionate and creative and innovative. And that's why I love this community. And regardless of what's happening, when we become stabilized, the one place I believe that we really have to grab on with and just celebrate and put out there is tourism. Our tourism industry. We have such a huge, valuable asset at our fingertips. We have a beautiful culture, a beautiful history. We have an amazing, one of the best cuisines on the planet, some of the best wines on the planet, definitely the best olive oil and feta cheese, hands down. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what Mario says or anybody else says. We got the best olive oil. We have to use that. We've got to really, and I've had meetings with the Ministry of Tourism in Greece, sitting with some of my colleagues from the American College of Greece, sitting there having conversation about how we can bring Greece and America together to really make sure that we're telling the world about, we have to collaborate. Collaboration is everything. The young generation with the old generation, we've got to collaborate as a group of Greek Americans. And that's where I think we're going to change the whole, outlook on what Greece is and who Greece is. So thank you all for listening to me. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yasis. Enjoy.